Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. All about nutrition from your favorite dietitian. Everything you need to digest in your mind. Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. Making you healthier one bite at a time. With Tony. Woo!
Hello and welcome to the Tips with Tony podcast. I'm Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time. I'm very excited for you all to meet my very next guest. I have virtually in front of me Katie Hirsch. She has her PhD in many things, and she has her credentials in many things. So I'm going to let her take over and introduce herself in a second. We are going to learn a lot from her. She's a wealth of knowledge, and I'm super excited to have her. So welcome, Katie, to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Oh, my pleasure. So first question is always a three-part question. I'd love for you to introduce yourself to the listeners by sharing who you are, what you do, and most importantly, why you do what you do.
Yeah, so Katie Hirsch, PhD. I do exercise physiology. My research focuses primarily on exercise, nutrition, targeting body composition, metabolism, skeletal muscle, with a really large emphasis on looking at sex differences and especially women's health across the lifespan. Currently I'm a postdoc at the University of Arkansas for Medical Sciences. But here very shortly, I'm transitioning to an assistant professor position at the University of South Carolina, continuing all my work there. So big, exciting things coming. And then I do what I do. I absolutely love what I do. I think I have one of the most fun jobs. I get to combine my passion for nutrition and exercise. And it's something everybody has questions about. Everybody, wants to work on, focus on, improve. And so my hope is to help make it practical, feasible, and make life a little bit better. So that's why I do what I do.
I love it. I love it so much. And I'm going to have to go back to, you had mentioned you studied the differences between male and female sexes. And I think it's super important because I have so many women we have a lot of women that come to us and will say like, it's not fair. My husband is eating the same things as me and he's lost 20 pounds and I'm barely, lost 2 or whatever it is. So, totally not what we were planning on talking today, but I would love for you to kind of share a little bit about, for our listeners who might be feeling frustrated with that, like, why is that? Why does weight loss seem to be or appear to be easier for men than for women?
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've heard that exact comment or had that conversation. I think I just had that conversation yesterday. A lot of times it is easier for men to just quickly lose weight or what seems like quickly lose weight. And a lot of that goes back to the hormonal environment in women. Very different than men. I think we're all pretty aware of that. But the other thing is, unlike men, women go through lots of different hormonal changes throughout the lifespan. So if you think about it, we go through puberty, we have all these changes going on. We're trying to figure out a new homeostasis for our body. Then we get more into adulthood, maybe go through pregnancy. That's a whole nother bit of a roller coaster. Then we get into perimenopause, which is a whole nother chaos. And then postmenopause. So as women, we're constantly adjusting. So I think that's one challenge. But I will say, as hard as the hormones maybe make it to lose body fat or change our body composition, it's also kind of a superpower. It makes us super resilient. And so that's something I think we need to kind of change the conversation, embrace that a little bit. And it's just finding what's going to work best for your body. There are strategies we can take, but it is something that actually makes us pretty resilient long-term. So.
I love that. So I kind of actually want you to elaborate on that a little bit. What is it about it that makes us resilient when you say that for the pros who are listening there? Because I feel like people are they're like, but no, I just want to lose weight. Like, so I don't care about how resilient my body is. Like, tell me to lose. Like, what do you mean by the resiliency for women in their bodies?
Yeah, I get it. The big example, I mean, if you think about it from a survival standpoint, all of physiology goes back to a survival and reproductive standpoint. We're not really in a world where we're starving. That's not a big issue. But if you were to stick us in a really stressful, intense situation, women are going to maintain a little bit better than men because we have a little bit of extra body fat to keep us there. Now, putting us in a weight loss standpoint, that makes things a little bit frustrating, but a lot of what I research and study is how do we use exercise, nutrition to get our bodies in that place where we feel a little better, with a heavy focus on muscle. And I think muscle gets very overlooked in health and disease in general, especially in the context of women's health. And so there's this really high emphasis on, I need to lose weight. I need to lose body fat. And we're told that as women from a very young age. We're hyper-fixated on it. A lot of our behaviors get driven by that. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, muscle's very important for maintaining our metabolic health. And a lot of things that would improve muscle quality, muscle health, muscle size are going to have really strong impacts on our health, despite the presence of body fat. And so a lot of what I'm passionate about is change that conversation a little bit. If you were to focus less on just thinking about losing weight, just thinking about losing body fat, and thinking more about how do I be strong? How do I have good endurance? How do I improve my muscle health and stamina? How does that change your mindset when you're approaching nutrition and exercise? So just, for example, a lot of times when we think about body fat, we're only fixated on less. I got to eat less, restrict, I can't eat that. Versus if we start thinking about muscle, our mindset shifts, and now we start thinking about maybe more appropriately fueling our exercise, or what do I need to perform physically, mentally at my best? How do I time my nutrition? How do I maybe be a little bit smarter? So it just shifts that mindset, maybe to a little bit more sustainable approach.
I love that so much. I love that so much. It goes against what I think people have been told for years, or what they've thought for years. But the reality is let's focus on our health, our strength, the things that are going to truly make us healthier, rather than, the extremes I think that people go to, or the cut this out, or, you need to look a certain way in order to be healthy, which is not the case, right? It's like, what's going on the inside, So you made a comment about like timing and protein and stuff. So what effect does what does like protein and timing have on body composition and metabolism?
Yeah. So protein, powerful macronutrient to focus on. First and foremost, just getting adequate protein intake throughout the day. A lot of people think we already overconsume protein, but really a good target is about 1.2 to 1.6, in some situations up to 2 grams per kilogram per day. And what that
of your body weight, right?
Of your body weight, correct. Mm-hmm. Yep. So another easy way to think about it, somewhere around 1 gram per pound, if you want a really easy conversion. That can shift based off of goals. But what protein does is, when we consume protein, especially when we consume it around exercise, it's a really strong stimulus for muscle, not just for muscle growth and being strong. That's important, but it also stimulates the turnover of protein in your muscles, which is another way of saying like muscle rebuilding, remodeling. That process is really energy costly. It takes calories to do that. It also relies on fat to do that process. So when we consume protein, especially with exercise, that process speeds up and we stimulate our metabolism and some fat metabolism, which is good. The other thing about protein, it's a little more satiating, so it can help with regulating appetite and maybe some of our hunger eating habits. And yeah, so it's just going to be really good in a lot of those contexts. And then after exercise, promoting recovery so that we are ready to, do the next bout of exercise later, or just with that adaptation of getting stronger, losing body fat, things like that.
Yeah, so helpful. Now, I think for people who are probably wondering, does the type of protein matter? Does it matter if it's plant-based? Does it matter if it comes from an animal? Does it matter if it carries fat with it? If it doesn't carry fat with it, stuff like that.
Yeah, this is something I talk about all the time and can get a little bit confusing, but it doesn't have to be. So with everything, we usually encourage people to take a food first approach. I think women especially are very interested in how do I do more plant-based proteins. So all protein is good protein. It can come from an animal. It can come from a plant. Depending where we get it from, though, we just have to take in some different considerations. So animal-based proteins do have all the essential amino acids that our body needs to best support muscle metabolism. Plant proteins tend to be lacking some of those essential amino acids. And so we need to do combinations of different plants to make sure we're getting enough and adequately stimulating the muscle. The other thing with plants is we usually have to consume more protein. So you may think you're consuming, let's say, 30 grams in a meal, but the protein in plants isn't as bioavailable as an animal protein, which means it's a little bit harder for our body to digest it, absorb it, use it in the body. So we're going to need to consume more to get the equal response in the body. And so that can just make things a little bit trickier. If you're going to rely on plants, you just have to know I need to consume a little bit more. The other thing is whole foods, because of the food matrix it's in, and it requires more chewing, digesting, breaking down to absorb in the body. It doesn't appear in our bloodstream quite as quickly, which means it doesn't stimulate the muscle the same as if we were to take like a supplement. So you want to start with your whole foods, but then an easy thing, especially around exercise, is to maybe use a supplement. So whether that be whey protein, which is our highest quality source of protein, or you can use a plant-based supplement, which has been broken down a little bit more, easier to digest. Again, though, with the plant source, we do just want to take a little bit more. So what I usually say is if it says do a scoop, maybe do a scoop and a half or 2 scoops. We just need to add a little bit more to get that matched response. Another strategy is if you're really not good at handling protein or whey protein in the stomach, especially close to exercise, you can use an essential amino acid supplement. So that's different from branch chain amino acids.
I'm so glad you commented on that, because that's where I was going to go next. So keep going.
Everybody hears amino acids and we all think branch chains. The branch chains are important, but there's only 3 amino acids in there. And we really need all the essential amino acids to adequately stimulate muscle. Branch chains have other uses. It's not for good muscle stimulation. So getting those essential amino acids, you can use a supplement in that pure form. It quickly digests, gets in the bloodstream. And so that's actually our strongest stimulus. So to kind of recap that, start with your food. Animals a little bit better than plant, but we just have to do some extra steps with the plant. Then you can move to a supplement. And then if you're really close to exercise or during exercise, an essential amino acid supplement might be helpful.
Awesome. And so you're saying the essential amino acids have all of them. What kind? I don't even know where you would get that.
They're not as common.
I didn't. I usually just go with if there are 2 recommendations. That's usually what my first go-to is.
Yep. So a lot of my research has more recently started to use the essentials just because it's easier to take in. I do some high intensity exercise studies. So we've been using it more proximal to that. Also with aging populations, it's a little bit stronger stimulus to overcome the anabolic resistance in the muscle. So we get a better stimulus as we age. So there's a few brands out there. I can share those and maybe you can post them somewhere. It might be easier to share that way.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate that. Thank you. Wow, I have so many questions. Because now, I like that we're really fixating on protein because I feel like I probably have other podcasts have touched on it, but I like that this is going to be really kind of a more in-depth kind of.
This is what I do all day. So
I'm so excited. Okay.
I am interrupting this podcast episode to remind you that you might be interested in purchasing a collagen supplement. So you may have heard all the rage about the power of collagen. And if you haven't listened to episode 368, What You Need to Know About Collagen, I'm strongly going to encourage you to go back and listen to get the full scoop, no pun intended. And I say that because collagen is a supplement that you scoop out and add to your water. So, or you could add to your coffee, whatever it is. But the collagen that I wanted to recommend for you is actually flavored that you do mix in your water, and it's from Thorne. And Thorne is a supplement company that I trust. Everything is tested by a third party. So therefore you can believe whatever it says is inside is actually inside. So I actually love the flavor. It's a really great thing to add to your water, like I said, especially right before a workout to hydrate yourself, especially if you do high intensity interval training or any sort of like jumping and lunging and running. You are definitely going to benefit from incorporating collagen in your daily regimen. So if you haven't checked out the Thorne supplement, the collagen Thorne supplement, I highly, highly encourage you to go check it out. I will leave the link in my show notes, and with my discount, you get 20% off. So if you haven't tried it yet, I strongly encourage you to go to the link in my show notes and order yours today. Now, back to the episode.
So I guess just to go back to the branched chain amino acids for BCAAs, right? I've told people I drink them every morning just so I like the flavor, and I can't just do fresh water in the morning.
Yeah.
And there's no reason other than that. And I used to take it when I was during and around exercise, and now I just have it in the morning whether I exercise or not. But I know that it's not the magic thing, and I eat, adequate animal protein, and I eat adequate protein or whatever. But I would love for you to kind of share with the listeners, do they need BCAAs? If they were to take it, why would they need it? If they don't need it, what could they have said? I don't know. Just go on your tangent about BCAAs.
So I would say for stimulating muscle, not going to do the trick because it only has leucine, isoleucine, valine. I won't get super nerdy on you, but it doesn't have all the pieces. So it has the pieces to turn on muscle stimulation, but not all the building blocks to build the muscle. Now, other contexts. So from that standpoint, probably don't need to buy branched chain amino acids. Now, some interesting areas that I think we need more research on, especially women, that I find kind of intriguing is it may help with some endurance or offsetting some perceptions of fatigue. It might help with maybe some exercise tolerance. And so some research we recently published showed essential amino acids may help reduce perceived exertion during high intensity exercise in women with that consumption of, that was with essential amino acids, but there is a good amount of literature with branched chain amino acids. And so without getting too heavy into the mechanisms, there's, some interesting mechanisms that it could help with that perception of fatigue. So I think even, in the middle of the day, if you're doing a lot of heavy thinking and you might get some brain fog in the afternoon, my colleague and I have discussed how consuming branched chains, or especially the essentials, can kind of help re-stimulate and improve some clarity without having to go to caffeine, while also maybe stimulating metabolism a little bit. So we don't know a lot in that area, but I think it's an intriguing area that we need to look a little bit more into. So that could be a potential use for branched chains.
Interesting. Thank you for sharing that. You also mentioned you have a lot of research in high intensity interval training.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you hear mixed things, right? You hear that it's so great for, your heart and your health, and it's something you need to incorporate. And then you hear like, oh, it's destroying your metabolism, and it's not the best use of your time, and it's not super smart if you're trying to like have like body composition goals. So I would love for you to share the research more recent of like what pros and cons to high intensity interval training.
Well, I don't know who says it's a waste of time, because it's definitely not a waste of time. And I'm a runner, so my background is endurance running. I love going for just a long run. I also love to lift, so I'm not anti either of those things. I think first and foremost, it just comes down to what can you do consistently and enjoy doing. So with that, there are a lot of good benefits to incorporating some high intensity exercise, especially in women and especially as we age. And so I think the tendency, especially as we age, is to do a lot of low or moderate intensity exercise. And there's good benefits there, but because our muscles become a little more resistant to stimuli, we need to do a little bit higher intensity to adequately stimulate muscle. Mm-hmm. And so what that can look like, I do a lot with interval training, which typically we do a protocol that's a 1 minute hard followed by 1 minute easy or complete rest. Repeat that maybe 10 times. Most people can do that. That's pretty feasible. It's very adaptable. You can do it on a bike. You can do it running. You could do it upstairs. I know someone that does it in the pool. There's lots of different ways to do it. But what that does is you get a really strong stimulus, and that can drive heart, cardiorespiratory adaptations, and we've even shown good muscle adaptation just by doing that 2 days a week. And so especially a lot of people don't even have time to exercise. We're all busy. And so if you think about it, that's a 20-minute workout, in, out. If that was all we did, we would see similar adaptations as if we were doing 30, 45 minutes every single day. Mm-hmm. So if all else fails, getting in, hitting it really quick, hard, is still going to get you good stimuli. So I would definitely say work it in there. It's not something you want to do every single day.
Well, that's what I was leaning towards. And I think that's where the negative is because we know people tend to live in the extremes. And then when you think of there's a lot of trendy, like group fitness, companies out there. One that I love, I'm not going to name, I love them. And I go regularly, but I go like twice a week, maybe max 3. But there's people that will do their like hour-long classes of high intensity interval training. And they're going like 5 to 6 days a week. Mm-hmm. Right. So like, how does that affect somebody's hormones or their health or their body composition, their metabolism? Like, is that the smartest thing to be doing? And you could be honest, like I just have heard, mixed things.
Yeah, with anything, the more exercise you're doing, the higher intensity it gets, the longer duration it gets. If you're doing that more frequently, we just need to be a whole lot smarter with our nutrition, our fueling, our recovery.
Mm-hmm. Which most people aren't.
Exponentially more important, right? It's already super important, but if we're really going to tax our body every single day, at some point you're going to wear yourself out. You're not going to recover well, and we're going to start working against ourselves. We're going to get injured and things like that, or burnt out. So definitely not something you need to do every single day. 2 to 3 days a week is totally sufficient. And then filling in those other days with your resistance training, your moderate intensity steady state, whatever it is you enjoy doing, your yoga, your dancing, anything else you want to fit in there and do is totally fine. So that's probably my spiel there.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. So I guess, where do we want to go with this? I feel like there's so many things I can ask. Yeah, I mean, you kind of alluded to it a little bit, but like outside of nutrition and exercise, what would you say are some other things that play a role in maybe overall health or body composition, metabolism, other than diet and exercise?
Yeah, I mean, I think our three kind of pillars of health that we especially focus on for women is the exercise, the nutrition, and then sleep. I think we're all guilty of kind of burning the candle at both ends and trying to get more and more done, and myself totally included in that. And emphasizing just recovery too. I think we're go, go, go. So making sure we're prioritizing sometimes of it doesn't always need to be full throttle, and making sure we're getting that good sleep, getting that good recovery is going to be just as important. So that would probably be my third area that we could all probably work on.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Amazing. And anything you're currently researching that like, it's not, I don't know if you're allowed to share this, but like anything that you might think might be surprising that we might not know that's like hasn't been proven yet, but I'm afraid of actually saying those things now that I think about it. Because if it's now people you're going to hear, we're going to say it's not been proven yet. You're going to say, and they're going to be like, well, I heard that this works. So I'm a little hesitant to say that, but I don't know, just anything exciting that like maybe coming down, something we should expect I have a question actually. Okay. Sorry, I go on tangents.
No, it's all good.
But gut health is really popular right now. Like I think a lot of people are kind of learning how your gut health can potentially, like how it affects your metabolism and lots of different things. Have you seen that in your research, or are you currently researching it? And could you just add a little bit to that?
Yeah, that's a huge, huge area that I've done a little bit of digging on and would love to get more into. I think we see it all throughout the lifespan in women. I mean, you see it in exercise all the time. Women tend to have, more GI complications or discomforts. Myself included, I remember when I was a college athlete, a lot of my nutrition decisions were driven off of trying to overcome a lot of stomach discomforts and working around that. And so, that's a big conversation around how do we strategize nutrient timing, because we know eating closer to exercise can be super beneficial for women, for body comp, for performance, all those things. But if you're having a lot of GI discomfort, doesn't facilitate that very well. So strategies to overcome that. I think especially as we age, I've been doing a lot with the menopause transition here lately, and conversations with women, and something that comes up all the time is, their sensitivity to different foods changes. They start experiencing maybe a lot of bloating and things like that. So targeting, how can we help improve that? Whether it comes down to, again, different food choices or strategizing or the gut microbiome, I'm sure all of those things are changing. But I think an area moving forward when we're addressing overall women's health is how do we improve that gut health and overcome the discomfort? I think that's a big barrier for a lot of women.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Oh man. Okay. Anything else we need to be prepared for, or we should keep our ears or eyes open for? Anything you're currently researching that's really like exciting?
Oh gosh. Lots of exciting things. I have a lot of, really neat collaborations going on in the space of women's health, spanning from menstrual cycle to menopause transition, doing a lot with perimenopause, doing that neat work with Dr. Abby Smith-Ryan at North Carolina. She's doing some really great stuff there. It's an exciting time. I think there's a huge interest in women's health right now. And so just trying,
especially during those life stages that you just shared.
Oh yeah.
I think that's where women are frustrated the most.
I guess that's something, yeah, I'll rant on this for a minute.
Yeah.
I think it's been cool to see a lot of women continuing to compete beyond maybe our normal perception of the elite time frame, or like the age of when we're peaking in our performance capabilities. I think we're seeing, especially, I'm a big track and field fan, running fan. So we've started to see a lot of women who go have children and then come back and are still competing at the highest level. We're seeing a lot of women in masters categories and, setting world records and doing these amazing things. Women, well into their upper 90s, still out there racing, competing, wanting to be active. And so I think that's really exciting to see. And I want to keep trying to facilitate that. And how do we help them recover faster, get back to activity faster, keep doing activity? We have a longer lifespan. And so how do we stay active and maintain that quality of life well into the later years and really just embrace everything clear to the end?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love it. Well, I might have to have you back for something about specifically talking about like women's health during the menopausal phase, because I definitely get messages about it all the time. We have clients who are struggling with it. And it's definitely like, I do believe that it's also empowering to learn. I think it's even crazier, not to go on a tangent, but like how most women still don't understand their own cycle. And then you just start kind of questioning how it affects your body at the end of it. Like that's a problem in itself. Oh, yeah. So we definitely need to do a better job. I'll definitely kind of have you back to talk about that. And then, I feel like I should do a series. I think that might.
We could do it. I'm all
like a mini series of like, and I'll get different experts and like kind of talking on different stages.
Think you got it. I think you're onto something.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of names of people you could talk to. So.
Oh, please send them my way. I'm always looking for guests. Always. Yeah. Always. Oh my God. Amazing. All right, Katie, any last minute comments or things you want to leave with our listeners before you wrap up today?
I just encourage everyone, like you said, don't be afraid to do your own research, figure out your own body a little bit and figure that out. So trying to facilitate that. But thanks for letting me chat today and share a little bit of knowledge, and hopefully we can chat again.
Yeah, my pleasure. It was absolutely awesome having you here. Where can people find you and connect with you if they wanted to follow up with any questions? Yeah,
I'm on Instagram and Twitter. So you can find me there. And then I'll be transitioning to South Carolina. So watch for my information switching to there. I won't be at Arkansas much longer. So. Oh,
okay. So do you take on clients one-to-one? Is that how
I don't usually, but I try to answer questions as best I can if anyone has something specific. So
okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here, Katie. For everybody listening, thank you for being here. If you're not subscribed to the Tips with Tony podcast, definitely hit that subscribe button. When you're subscribed, you get notified when a new episode comes out every Tuesday and Thursday. Thank you so much for listening. As always, I'm Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time.